How's it going, people? I'm back. I've been enjoying a rare bit of sunny weather here in the UK. I hope you have been doing likewise wherever you reside in the world. So let's get to some boxing news. In this video, I'll be talking about Billy Joe Saunders and some of his recent comments with regards to the allegations, the claims, the assertions being made by many people that he quit against Canelo Alvarez. So the reason I'm addressing this so late in the day, apart from the fact that I've been busy and I've also been enjoying myself, is the fact that Billy Joe didn't come out and speak about this allegation that he quit until relatively recently. I want to say in the past week and a half is when he finally came out and talked about it. So if we get to the part of the TalkSport interview where he directly addresses it, talks about having a broken eye socket, says he's like Terminator now, and so on. If we scroll down here, he said, "My team who's in that corner know the conversation. I was going out for the 9th round orthodox, and when people say he quit, you've got to look at the situation. My team are there to do a job." So Billy Joe is basically trying to misconstrue what the public mean by he quit. When people, and not just the public, but other boxers, pundits, and so on, when people are saying he quit, they're talking about him making the decision not to continue, not his corner. But judging by what he said here, he's acting like the public think that your corner pulling you out means you quit. No, that's not what most people are saying. Most people are saying that Billy Joe basically indicated to his corner in one way or another that he didn't want to continue. And that's why his corner made that decision. So to me, that's a bit of a red flag, the fact that Billy Joe, and he knows exactly what people mean. He knows that people don't think the corner made the decision. They think that they acted on Billy Joe's request, basically. Not that he necessarily said, "I quit, pull me out." But as Mark Tibbs has said, he didn't get the response that he wanted from Billy Joe. So he was looking for a particular response from Billy Joe, and that's not what he got. So Billy Joe says, "I'm there to go on all night. When we step in the ring, that's our lives, and I'm willing to put down the life." More interesting choice of language here. Look, put down the life. What life? Do you mean your life? Because, again, for those of you who haven't heard me talk about fighters quitting before, I've got no issue with a fighter who quits in a tough fight. He's taking punishment. He's maybe losing. He decides to quit. I've got no problem with it. The thing with Billy Joe is that prior to the fight, he was talking tough, saying that he would rather die than quit, basically. And he also criticized Daniel Dubois for quitting against Joe Joyce. So I'm willing to put down the life. Do you mean your life? I mean, he's not speaking as specifically here as he was after the Daniel Dubois fight, where he said, "I would never quit. You'd have to literally take me out on a stretcher in a coffin or whatever." Words to that effect. These are the kind of things he was saying after the Dubois fight. None of that here. He says, "Never in my life would I ever say, nah, I'm finished, I'm done." He wouldn't say that. Yeah, he didn't say that in the corner. But something was said or something was indicated. I mean, for example, and I'm going to talk about this in a separate video. When Graham Earl fought Michael Katsidis way back in the days, Graham Earl quit in that fight. He put up a tremendous, brave, spirited effort, and he managed to drop Katsidis. But ultimately, at the end of, I think it was the 5th, he went to his corner and his corner said, "We're going to pull you out. I want to pull you out. How do you feel about that?" And Graham Earl said words to the effect of, "You're the corner man, it's your decision." When a fighter tells you that, that means he doesn't want to be in there. And that's why his corner decided to stop the fight, because that's not the reaction they were looking for with regards to a guy who wants to continue. When he tells you you're the cornerman, it's your decision. Well, the cornerman's asking you how you feel about making that decision. If you really wanted to continue, you'd say, no, don't stop it. No way. But Graham Earl didn't do that. Again, no issue with that. He was taking a terrible beating by that point, truth be told. So, yeah, all I'm seeing here is just more evidence for my money that Billy Joe did quit in the fight. He said, I boxed a minute and 20 seconds with a broken eye socket, a broken cheekbone in 3 places. A minute and 20 seconds is all right fighting the average man, but when you're fighting the best man on the planet, I could have easily opted out, but I never. That was the cornerman's decision. It is what it is. I can't argue with that. Actually, you can argue with that. Many fighters have argued with their corner and said, no, you're not pulling me out. Because again, the corner is looking to see what kind of response they'll get from the fighter. And there's another part here where he says, I think he's talking about Ben Davison. If I can find it. Yeah, here we go. As a fighter, I wanted to go on. I sat down and I could hear Ben Davison telling me in the corner it was over before I even sat down. I was shaking my head to say no way. Yeah, all I've seen from Billy Joe Saunders, and by the way, we still haven't seen any x-rays of this eye, this fractured eye socket and the surgery he says he had. I'm not saying he didn't have a fractured eye socket in several places. I'm not saying that he hasn't had an operation. I'm just saying we haven't seen proof of it. And as Teddy Atlas said in his post-fight video, in his post-fight podcast on his YouTube channel, there are plenty of promoters, plenty of fighters who will tell you, I had this surgery, I had that surgery, when they didn't, when they're trying to save face. Now, you can give Billy Joe the benefit of the doubt. You can believe him if you want. No issue with that. But you also shouldn't take issue with people who want proof, because we know the kind of things that get said in boxing, and there's a lot of untruths that get said in this sport. Particularly when you're talking about trying to preserve the reputation of a fighter. The fighter trying to preserve their own reputation and, of course, their promoter and their team and so on. So I think it's perfectly legitimate, just like Teddy Atlas did, to ask for evidence that he actually had the kind of injury he claims he had. I see no issue with that. Kell Brook provided it. Look, he's under no obligation to. It's his own private medical records at the end of the day. So we're not talking about him being penalized in some way, in some tangible way, because he doesn't come forward with this evidence. No, that's his choice, and I've got no issue with that. But in the court of public opinion, and the court of public opinion with regards to boxing means something, because the fans ultimately are the ones who pay you. And if the fans are not happy with you for whatever reason, they're going to want some kind of evidence, some kind of proof to bolster your side of the story, to bolster your version of events. And that's all we're talking about here. And I'm really talking about the fans, quote unquote, in general, rather than me. Me, I don't really care one way or the other, to be honest with you. I don't look at Billy Joe now and say, oh, I'm done with this guy. I'm not following this guy, any of his fights. No, I'm not angry at him at all. Okay? The moral of the story for me is just be careful when you want to act like you're so tough and brave compared to other fighters when you haven't been in that situation before. Like Billy Joe was with Daniel Dubois. He'd never been in that situation, you know? And we don't know exactly the nature of Daniel Dubois' situation, but look, him and Dubois had injured eyes. We know that much. We don't know the extent in terms of how badly they were injured, but we know they both had injured eyes. Billy Joe's never been in that position before, particularly not at that level against somebody like a Canelo. In a fight he was losing, and similar kind of situation for Daniel Dubois. So, you know, just be careful, because boxing is a very, very tough sport. It's a very dangerous sport. And if you're a guy who's never really taken any punishment, it's easy to sit there and act like you're so tough and you would never capitulate in that way. But when you find yourself in that situation, all of a sudden the truth hits you, reality hits you, and your true nature, your true character comes to the surface, and you might learn things about yourself which you either tried to suppress or you genuinely weren't aware of. And not only in the negative, but also in the positive. You'll have certain people who don't class themselves, and I'm just talking in general here, not specifically with regards to boxing, but you'll have certain people who don't class themselves as brave or courageous, but they find themselves in a crisis situation and they show bravery which they themselves didn't even know that they had or that they were capable of. I can't remember who it was, but somebody once said the boxing ring is a truth machine. And eventually, one way or another, boxing will reveal the truth about your character. So it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hopefully now we can just draw a line under this Billy Joe situation. What I'm saying here is not definitive. I'm not saying, yes, definitively Billy Joe quit. No, it's my interpretation of what went on, Billy Joe's words, his team's words, his promoter's words, and some of his actions. It's my interpretation of it. And look, if he really does have, or if he really did have a fracture in 3 places on that eye socket, again, I'm not saying that he shouldn't have quit. I'm not saying, oh yeah, it's a good thing to continue and so on and so forth. It's not about that. It's about just being careful about what you say from here on in with regards to criticizing other fighters for quitting. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. And again, not to say that my view that he quit is definitive. It's not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it really was the team's decision, but I don't think I am. That's all I can tell you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.